Hello, this is Dread, and in today's video topic, we are going to be going over my Howl of the West Wind Summon Wolf Beastmaster build. So, there's a few problems here we gotta discuss. So, Summon Squirrels, if you don't know, is a build that is built around the helmet, the Herald of the Scurry. So this build has been the premier wolf build for a very, very long time, as it essentially is so overtuned that it doesn't matter what you do with it because it will do infinite amounts of damage for little to no effort. This build is not that build, and that is because Herald of Scurry is brokenly OP. This is what a normal wolf build would look like if it had normal stats and normal, expectations. So I just want to keep everyone's expectations low. This is not like, oh my god, it's better than squirrels. No, it's not. And be honest, that's completely fine because this build has actually been really good. So if you don't know what's going on, we're essentially using Howl of the West Wind. Howl of the West Wind essentially gives our wolves our melee flat lightning. This is really good as generally most minions start with like maybe 12 flat. Uh, so we used to use the necrotic boots, the Yulia's boots for flat, but this gives us way more flat in general. We have like well over 100 plus flat giving to our wolves constantly, which means they do a lot more damage. So like for instance on the dummy, they'll be hitting for like maybe 1,000, right? And then you get the buff proc, it'll go up to 20k, and that is because of all of the flat we're giving them. Also, as well, there's also more lightning damage inside the wolf's tree, which means that you even have more damage modifiers to play around with. Eventually, when you get a Howl of the West Wind with +4 to wolves, you can actually take advantage of that and push their damage to the moon. Sadly, Howl of the West Wind is a level 30 item, and it has level 30 LP requirements as well. So that means getting a 2 to 3 LP one would be very easy to do after a bit of grinding. The problem is, Dread is just very unlucky, and he just never gets anything ever anymore, it seems, after his Ravenous Void drop. So that means that my Howl of the West Wind is blank. Other things about this build that I want to talk about is the defenses. So, all right, with the changes to swipe, the rework to swipe, right, where now you can get a large amount of percentage health regen from swipe with the aspect of the Panther stacks. This means that you can actually change your gearing significantly than a normal Beastmaster setup. Normal Beastmaster setups, if they wanted to play with health regen, they would essentially have access to no health whatsoever. They would have like 1,500 health or something crazy like that. But thankfully, with this update, we get so much increased health regen from our stats that we don't have to actually run it on gear. So a lot of my gear choices, as you'll see in the video, I have a lot of hybrid health and flat health regen on my suffixes, and this is enough to keep me sustained in 300 Corruption Monolith so far. This is great, as this means that you are no longer sacrificing all of your HP every single time you want to play with health regen on a Beastmaster, or I guess a Druid later on, which is wonderful because being at like 1.5k HP sucks. And 2.4 seems to be a lot better, especially because of, the less damage taken at low life. All of that combined ends up making us feel significantly tankier than we should at 2.4k HP. The damage on the wolves, though, it's really good. Turns out when you give your minions a lot of flat, it's really good. Also, as well, on the helmet, there is a 30% increased minion movement speed roll, which is really strong. It turns out it makes your wolves essentially be with you whenever you need it. So, like for instance, the wolves AI, the way it works now is they will attack whatever you are attacking. So if they're like halfway across the screen and you start attacking something, they will dart towards so whatever you are attacking and start attacking it. And that is really good because, as you can tell in the footage, whenever I need my wolves, they're right next to me, which is wonderful, right? It's absolutely wonderful. I love it. The AI is so much better now. Uh, you don't even need to run the node that teleports your minions, right? Like it's just they're just with you always, which is great. Now, with all that being said, if you haven't already, I'd heavily suggest leaving a like on the video and subscribing to the channel, as that's the best way of supporting me currently. But let's go in game and talk about the build in more detail, shall we? So here we are in game with the character. Let's go over the skills first. This is the summon wolf tree. So I just want to let you guys know, eventually when you get like a 2 to 3 LP claw and you shove it in here, right? This will make it so that you can summon wolves based on your companion limit, which means that this node is no longer needed and you can put it somewhere else. You could probably maybe try to get the last wolf, but I'll be honest, I did the math and stuff, like, it's not really worth your time trying to go for the last wolf because it's just a lot of investment to get there. I've just found it just completely unnecessary. You can just put more damage in the more damage nodes and end up with more damage anyways, right? Especially because I like Howl of Might and stuff. So in theory, you might not even have to do that, which is kind of cool, right? Now let's talk about the skills, of course. 4 points into On the Hunt, 3 points into Howl of Might. This more damage modifier is really strong. 1 point into Safety in Numbers that allows us to summon wolves based on our companion limit. This is very important, of course. 2 points travel into Savage Hunters, 4 points in a Legendary Bite. That more melee crit chance allows us to cap our crit way quicker than other builds, which is wonderful, right? 2 points into Lupine Endurance, 1 point travel into Stormcaller's Reprisal. This does turn your wolves into the Lightning Wolves, which is cool as well. And of course, 3 points into Cloud Runners. Eventually, when you get plus to levels to wolves, unlike me, you'll get to be able to put all like into all these more damage nodes and do significantly more damage than I'm doing right now, which is great. So then swipe here, stereotypical swipe setup. We just need swipe to be lightning, to have the lightning tag. As long as it has the lightning tag, it works for Howl the West Wind. Anything has the lightning tag, it works for the last line, which is cool. So that's good to know. 2 points into Duality of Nature here for the mana gained. You need just a smidgen of mana gain to sustain the build. And then 5 points into Sabertooth's Endurance for that insane amount of health regen. Eventually, what you could do is you can get plus levels to swipe on your relic, start filling out Aspect of the Panther and Lion Strength, which means that you could get even more health regen, which would make the build even tankier, which is great. So eventually, when you get enough points, then 3 points in Wild Calling. Essentially, what this does is it makes it so that whenever you attack, your wolves have a 40% chance to attack. So essentially, every single time you attack, you have like a 40% chance to double your wolves' damage, which is really strong because there's a lot of ways to double dip with this and get a lot of melee attack speed thanks to stuff like aspect of the aspect of the shark stacking and stuff like that. So, and then of course you have stuff like Berserk inside Warcry to give you a lot of attack speed. So all of that combined ends up making this do a lot of damage, it turns out. So you attacking is a very large component of your wolves doing damage, which is cool. Then Frenzy Totem, stereotypical Frenzy Totem setup. The main things I care about is the health regen here. There's a lot of health regen for free, which is great. We also get the Refresh Companion ability because we're utilizing Lead the Pack, which gives us a massive 250% crit chance, which means we don't really need that much crit chance on gear. I am running the Mortuary Totem because sometimes your wolves will die. My wolves right now, they have 671% increase life, and they also have 51 strength. But they do die sometimes currently because I did not fully fill out Lupine Endurance. If you wanted to make your wolves tankier, I would take a node out of here, take a node out of here, take a node out of here, and then put nodes into this, and you can make your wolves significantly tankier than my versions right now. Also, as well, eventually you could get a pair of Durla's Obsession, with, of course, like res on it, and that would make your wolves tankier too. That's actually why I didn't really showcase a T4 Drilla footage, is because to do that, I would need to put on a pair of Drilla's Obsessions with a Void Res, which I didn't really feel like. But overall, my wolves have been really tanky either way, which is great. You want that massive increased minion damage because health, so they don't die. You don't want your wolves to die. Like, would you want him to die? He's so cute. No, like, come on. Yeah, that's a Frenzy Totem setup. Uh, Warcry, mainly you want the Maelstrom, you want the Cleanse, you want the pull. You want enemies to be pulled next to you because it makes it easier for the wolves to kill them all. Because if you didn't know, the node here, Wild Calling, it pierces all enemies through. So if you group them up together, you can actually hit the entire pack with all your wolves, which would instantly annihilate them. If you like watch my footage, you'll see me instantly annihilate some packs if they just get set up and I just do this and bam, the whole pack is dead because they're all brunched up together. It's great, like scrunched up together. It's great, wonderful. And of course, the attack speed from Berserk. This gives us even more single target output because, like I said, even our attack speed increases our single target output. So that's the Warcry tree. Then for Maelstrom here, Maelstrom, we only care about the haste and the frenzy and the dodge. That's all we care about for uh, currently Maelstrom. If you need more sustain for some reason, you can actually invest into this node to give you a little bit of healing, but it didn't seem to be very needed. I just wanted the haste when I'm walking around because I have a very low amount of movement speed right now because I don't have like double movement speed boots. I don't have like silver rings. I don't have movement speed on the tree. So I needed a little bit of more movement speed on the like everywhere to make me feel a lot better in maps. So that's why I'm currently using Maelstrom. Now, let's talk about the passives here. So, this is your stereotypical setup on passives. Not really much different. Mainly, you want Berserker, take the less damage one on low life, of course. Beastmaster here, things that are important, grabbing aspect of the boar so that you get that juicy health regen and that DR. This is what keeps you alive most of the time. Mainly, you want to make sure that you grab this node, Rending Maw. This is the main way that you're reaching like 300 stacks of armor shred on the enemy. Of course, you need to make sure to grab this node so that your aspect of the shark applies to your companions. This node gives you a lot of leech, gives you a lot of increased minion leech, which applies to this node as well. So this makes it so that your wolves like instantly leech back to full life when you're attacking something, which is great. The companion attack speed's really strong here. The the aspect of the aspect of the links, yeah, aspect of the links here is a lot of increased crit chance. There's 100, it's like 100% increased crit chance for your companions, right? Then, of course, a lot of crit multi here. This is where most of your crit multi comes from. Eventually, you can put crit multi on gear, but for the most part, this is where most of your crit multi comes. And of course, all the aspect shark stacking stuff. So we get to 10 stacks of shark to get a bunch of increased attack speed, increased melee damage for our wolves. And that's pretty much it for the passives. Now, for the blessings here, real quick, we're grabbing Void Res, of course. Health regen from Lagan. Lagan's blessing is actually useful for once. Uh, Crit Avoid here, you can actually use idols to pad out your Crit Avoid. So you don't need like the best Crit Avoid blessing. You just need a Crit Avoid blessing right now. That's what I did currently. Armor, of course, and then armor like normal. And that's pretty much it. You could get Lightning Shred here if you felt like as though you had enough health regen, but I really wouldn't give up the health regen. To be honest, it's really strong. And that's pretty much it for the passives. Let's talk about the gearing. So, of course, required Howl of the West Wind. You can actually level this. You can level this as soon as you get to level 24. You grab Howl of the West Wind. And, of course, you grab Safety in Numbers. And then you could just level as this technically. I wouldn't. That's just my opinion, but you can. This is really low level, really low LP level for some reason. I don't know why, but like I haven't gotten one, so whatever, I guess. For the amulet here, just some minion life, res, uh, chest that added melee minion crit is very important. That is one of your most important affixes because that allows you to actually hit crit cap very quickly thanks to all your other buffs. This is, like I said, mandatory. You definitely want to be looking at it. And this kind of chest is really strong because you can tell we have like 25% increased life and a lot of flat life and stuff like that. This chest is really strong. Then for weapons here, we are running melee lightning on fast attack speed bases. So there is Tempest Maws. Tempest Maw is like a unique axe that has melee flat lightning for you and your minions and stuff like that. That would work because it gives you a lot. But I've been liking swords because they've just been faster attacking. And eventually, if you do double sword, you can get a sword with dodge percent on the suffix, which would make the dodge from your maelstrom stacks actually useful, which is interesting. So double swords is definitely something that is interesting. That 42 flat melee lightning is added to your wolves. Same thing with 38 here. The implicit is not added. It doesn't work like that. Only the flat added. And you also get 13 from the helmet, right? Now, of course, you want the minion melee damage, of course, as well. The attack speed is really strong, though, because the faster you attack, the faster your wolves are going to attack because of, like I said, the Spirit Wolf node. Then for rings here, minion health, endurance, strength. You want to be grabbing strength everywhere because strength not only gives your wolves increased health, I mean flat health, it also gives them increased damage, so you definitely want to get as much strength as humanly possible so that you can make your wolves not instantly die. The belt here, just minion life, health. The minion health regen is just a utility stat. It makes it so your wolves are always topped off whenever you're doing something that isn't killing stuff, which is great. So it's like each their own on that one. I like running minion health regen though myself. Here, strength, health regen, health, strength, minion health, right? Health regen here. What's really strong is we're not even using the teleport node, but we are using the increased damage. As you can tell, at tier 5, it gets to like 60% increased damage. So getting a pair of boots like this is really strong for you because that's a lot of increased damage for a pair of boots, you know? And of course, the relic here, it's like minion damage, strength, necrotic res, void res. Essentially, your damage is so strong that you could afford to lose that minion damage there and put minion life and make sure your wolves don't die. But it's just really up to you. And that's pretty much it for the gearing. The idols, I'm just running some crit avoid idols and a bunch of resistance idols. Eventually, you'd want to shove in a throne of ambition so that you can get more armor on bosses. And then if you want T4 Jirla, you're gonna have to go for a pair of Jirla's Obsession and figure out how to go from there. Now, with all that being said, this has been Dread, and I'm gonna go do something else. Bye.